Greetings, adventurers. This is DM Kurt, and I have Kobold Press's Project Black Flag playtest packet number 1. Okay, I got on the email list, and so I'm technically one of the playtesters for this thing. I'm going to have to go through it and maybe make up a few characters using this and provide feedback. Now, what we have here is 12 pages. That's 6 pieces of paper front and back. Okay, now they tell you right up front, thank you for your interest in playtesting the material contained within Playtest Packet 1 of the brackets Core Fantasy System. Before you read through this packet, here are some helpful guidelines for playtesting this material. The Core Fantasy System is backward compatible with any 5th edition, and can be used in conjunction with any existing 5e material. Note, they do not say Wizards of the Coast. They do not say Dungeons and Dragons. But we all know exactly what they're talking about. Before they did this, before they put these out, they said that Project Black Flag would be compatible with their existing 5e compatible books. The Creature Codex, the Midgard setting, the Tome of Beasts 1, 2, and I believe there's a 3. Anyway. And what do we know? From junior high school mathematics, if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. Okay? This is going to be basically a rewrite of 5e D&D. That's not a terrible thing necessarily, depending on how they rewrite it. Okay? All right, so since this document does not include class options, those you'll be rolling out in playtest packet number 2, creating a complete character from scratch using the rules found in this packet will require the use of an existing 5e base class. Okay. That's telling us you're going to need your 5e Player's Handbook, and the successive packets are basically going to be a bunch of successive edits to the Player's Handbook until everything's been edited across, and it's different because it's been rewritten piece at a time. Okay, all right. If you would like to make a 5e character of equivalent power to a Core Fantasy System, in the brackets, I swear they're going to just, that just tells me that they're probably going to have a name for the game that isn't Core Fantasy Role Playing. And that's just, they're just putting the brackets in there so they know when to edit. Whatever. I mean, they could call it, Kobolds and Caverns, That'd fit for Kobold Press, right? Okay, simply give the 5e character a feat that the character would meet the prerequisites for at first level. Okay, in terms of mechanical power, any of 5e's race and subrace combinations can be substituted for any of the Core Fantasy System's lineage and heritage combinations. Alright, whatever. So it's cross-reference to that. Introduction. Welcome to the Labyrinth. Not to be confused, the movie, the same name. A fantastical universe of infinite worlds linked by twisting corridors of magic. Here you will find realms like Midgard, Hades, the Dreadful Domains, and homebrew creations tied together by the mysterious will of the maze. Sounds like they got a multiverse. Dreadful Domains sounds an awful lot like Ravenloft. Okay, Midgard is their version of Forgotten Realms or Greyhawk or whatever. These countless worlds rarely reassemble one another on the surface. Okay, that should be resemble. But all have one unifying truth: heroes shape them. All right, I like that. You're supposed to be playing heroes. You go out and you smite some evil. You rescue some innocents. Cool. However, that's just one little throwaway line. I don't know how much they really believe it. What is core fantasy role-playing? Core fantasy role-playing is an action-oriented role-playing game that pits a group of heroic adventurers against the myriad dangers found in fantasy worlds. That's run by a game master. Everybody else is player characters or PCs. What is a role-playing game? Yeah, that's been done. Role of the game master, role of the player character. The dice. D4, D6, D8, D10, D12, D20. Right? Other tools you'll need to play. I mean, really. You will need Core Fantasy Role-Playing Monster Vault and Core Fantasy Role-Playing Game Master Guide. What? Okay, sure. This book contains all the basic information you need to play Core Fantasy Role-Playing. Okay, so the Monster Vault, the Game Master Guide, and this, they've already got a lot of it written up, I'm sure. That's what they're telling me. Chapter 1, Character Creation. Chapter 2, Playing the Game. Chapter 3, Equipment and Magic Items. Chapter 4, Spellcasting. Yeah, that's a table of contents for a book we don't have. We just have this one little pamphlet. All right. Elements of core fantasy. The fantasy worlds have magic, heroic adventures, unique locations to explore, power structures and systems, conflict. So we're defining our genre, and it's very D&D-ish. Cool. Create a character concept. Hey, what kind of dude do you want to make up, or dudette? Choose a class, which are not included. How levels work, how hit points and hit dice work, proficiency bonus. As your character advances in levels, they become generally better at what they're trained to do. A concept which is represented by the proficiency bonus. While the proficiency bonus advances at the same rate for every class, it's included in each class progression table to make it easier for you to track. When you make a d20 check that involves a skill, tool, or save that you have proficiency in, you get to add your PB, proficiency bonus, to that roll. Occasionally, features might allow you to double your PB on particular kinds of rolls, but a PB can only ever be applied to a particular roll once. So that's exactly the same as 5e. The ability scores, standard 6. Ability modifiers, looks to be about identical to 5e. You want to roll up a character, they have a standard array that looks a little better than 5e. Point buy, score, cost, do point buy for your attributes, whatever. Standard array. Choose a lineage and heritage. Okay. What is a lineage and heritage? Choose a background, and then fill in the blanks. The final checklist. Double check that you have all the following information on your character sheet. 1. Your class and your class features, including hit dice, spellcasting, skills, equipment, and saves. They have a neat little checklist there. That's handy. Now, I've been making up characters for D&D and similar games for over 30 years. I don't think I need this, but this isn't for me. This is for all the players, including the brand newest of new players. Okay? So cool. That's handy. I like that. All right? I like that. Gaining levels is done by XP or milestone, same as 5e. Gaining hit points, same as 5e. Leveling methods, I just talked about that. Lineage. While humans are common to most settings, the fantasy genre is full of all kinds of other fantastical people. When you create your character, you can choose whether your hereditary traits are human or one of these other fantasy lineages. Okay, your lineage will dictate your starting age, your size, your speed. Alignment. Yeah, languages. Okay. Here's where we explain it here. Okay, the dwarven lineage. So your lineage is basically your race or species. The dwarven lineage has, they live about 350 years. They're about 4 or 5 foot tall. Base walking speed 25 feet. They have night vision. Advantage on saves against being poisoned and +1 hit point per level. Okay, pretty standard. That's a dwarf. That's a dwarven race or species, or in this case, lineage. Lineage is race. Cool. Heritage. If you're a dwarf, you can choose one of these two dwarven lineages, the Fireforge heritage or the Stone heritage. And that's basically your hill dwarf or mountain dwarf, except different. They are the sub-races, but instead of sub-race, it's heritage. The Fireforge ones, the best metal crafting is done in the fires of the earth itself, and these guys, they're all about that. Proficiency with glass blowers tools or smith's tools. It's pretty much always going to be smith's tools with most of your PCs. Expert artisan, you're just awesome with those for your proficiency bonus. Forgecraft, you're resistant to fire damage because you're working in a big hot forge all the time. Dude working down at the metal foundry never sweats. All right. Friend to elementals. You can speak, write, and write Ignan in addition to your chosen languages. So, fire elemental language. I don't know how often that's going to come in handy, but whatever. Reforge. You know the mending cantrip, and you can cast it as an action. You can only use this trait to repair objects made only of metal, such as reconnecting two halves of a broken sword. Your people have a deep connection with elemental fire and have collectively learned how to repair forged items with a touch. Okay, that's not bad. It's a free mending cantrip, but it has a limit, only on broken metal stuff. You know, it won't repair a torn leather backpack. Stone heritage, that's a different sub-race. Dwarven weapon training, dwarven armor training. Okay. More of a fightery kind of guy rather than a forge kind of guy. Elf, same deal. Cloud heritage versus Grove heritage. Now, Grove sounds very much wild elf. You have beast affinity, so talk with non-hostile normal animals. Canopy walker, you could have a climbing speed equal to your walking speed, so they just kind of run across treetops and jump from branch to branch and stuff. Elven weapon training. You have proficiency with a longsword, short bow, and longbow. Some languages. Okay, very elf. Elf is very elf. Cool. Cloud heritage. Those are your high elves. Touch of magic. School of magic for which choose a school of magic for which you have cultivated an affinity. You learn a cantrip of your choice from that school of magic. When you reach 3rd level, get a 1st level spell. When you reach 5th level, cast a 3rd level spell from that same school, like Fireball. Oh my god. Okay. You learn these spells and can cast them at their lowest level. Your spell casting ability for these spells is Charisma and or Wisdom. Choose which during character creation. So choose the highest. So if you want to be a priest who's a high elf, cloud elf, you choose Wisdom to cast Fireball at. Okay. World of Wonders, you have proficiency in the Arcana skill. High elf. Okay. It talks about what cloud elves are like, and that kind of makes an assumption about your world that there are these big towers and the elves built things. And there are elven cities. So this makes an assumption about your game world, or you play it in their game world. Cool. Humans ought to have awesome stuff, right? Elves had awesome stuff. Elf. Oh, yes. Humans. Humans get what? Proficiency in one skill of choice and one talent of your choice. Now, what's a talent? A talent's a feat. We have the variant human, sort of. 2 choices of sub-races. The nomadic heritage and the cosmopolitan heritage. Now, nomadic might sound better than barbarian or savage to people who don't like those words. Nomadic, resilient, advantage on checks or saves made to resist debilitating weather effects. Additionally, when you complete a short rest, reduce your exhaustion level by 1. Proficiency in survival skill. Get a bonus language. It says typical creatures of this heritage would choose Dwarfish or Elvish as their bonus, plus you get your common language. That's free. Everybody speaks common, so why bother with the languages? Yeah. Cosmopolitan. Can't become lost except by magical means whenever you're in a city. Dude can read street signs. Awesome. Also, in a city, you can't be surprised except when asleep or otherwise incapacitated. Immunity to surprise is pretty good. Worldly wisdom, you're kind of a semi-anthropologist. You get common in 2 extra languages of your choice. So everybody gets a race and a sub-race, even humans. And talents. Now, talents... Oh, wow. Let's get backgrounds. Background scholar, background soldier. So you get a talent from being human. You get a talent from your background, whether it's scholar or soldier. Those are just 2 examples. So you have 2 talents already at level 1. 2, what are they? They're feats. So let's say we took the feats from 5e. All right? And some of the talents they have here sound a lot like specific feats. Combat casting, elemental savant, school specialization, mental fortitude, armor training, armored combatant. That's heavy armor training. Yeah, skilled. They took all the feats. Well, they took a handful of the feats. And they divided them into 3 lines. Magic talents / feats, martial talents / feats, and technical talents / feats. So martial is sword fighting and stuff. Casting is casting. Magic. Yay. And technical is all the pretty much social and non-combat. And depending on what class you have, you might have different access to different feats / talents. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see where they go with this, but maybe this will be a better version of 5e. As WotC goes into 6e / 1D&D, the online VTT experience, they're going to stop supporting 5e. And with that's just fine, because a lot of their 5e support has not been the most successful. So imagine if 5e was going to continue going on into the future, but they had a different, and one would say better, set of people writing the books, so you could enjoy the game that you've been enjoying for the last few years. My overall assessment of this, I think I've been pretty upfront about it. This looks like a rewritten 5e, and we will see if it's a better written 5e. Playtest packet number 1. DM Kurt, out.